شفيعي يا رسول الله يا مصطفى
In the 13th year of Rasulullah's mission, in about 622 AD, most of the Muslims had emigrated to Yathrib to escape the attacks of the polytheists. The polytheists knew that the Islamic mission was dangerous for their religion and future. So they held a meeting. Each one of them suggested a way to get rid of Rasulullah. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. They all agreed on Abu Jahl's suggestion to bring together a group of young men from different tribes to wait at the door of Rasulullah's house and to strike him all together at the same time when he went out. This way, all the tribes would share in the responsibility of his killing, and not just one.
Do you know that Abu Jahl was called Abu al-Hakam before the advent of Islam? Abu al-Hakam was among the most important leaders of the Quraysh, but his arrogance, conceit, pride, tribal connections, and business affairs had barred him from admitting the sincerity of Rasulullah. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. So, he preferred to be his enemy rather than believing in him. Therefore, he was called Abi Jahl and has been known by this name up until this very day.
Allah wanted to waste their efforts and turn their evil back on them. So he sent Jibreel, may peace be upon him, and told them of what had been planned. The polytheists sneaked under cover of darkness to the house of Rasulullah, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and waited for him to go out, with evil filling their hearts. Rasulullah was able to go out and walk among them because Allah had covered their eyes, and Rasulullah left safely after he had sprinkled some soil over their head while nobody saw him. When they realized what had happened, they broke into the house of Rasulullah, where they found his cousin, Ali bin Abi Talib, sleeping in his place. At that time, Rasulullah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and his friend Abu Bakr went on their way to Yathrib. Rasulullah left the land that he loved, but he was sure that he would return to it victorious. He hid with his friend Abu Bakr in the cave of Thawr, south of Mecca, where they were at peace. Allah sent them soldiers they did not see, and he protected them from their enemies. They stayed in the cave for 3 days, and Abdullah, Abu Bakr's son, used to prepare food for them and tell them about the news of the Quraysh in Mecca. the Quraysh announced a big reward for anyone who could bring them Rasulullah and his friend Abu Bakr. So Suraka bin Malik, who was a brave warrior, set off looking for them. When he approached Rasulullah and Abu Bakr, the legs of his horse sank deep into the sand, and he knew that this was because they had prayed to Allah for help. So he asked them to pray to Allah for him. And Rasulullah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, promised him peace of mind. The promise of Rasulullah came true when the Muslims won the battle of Qadisiyah. The people of Yathrib awaited the arrival of the Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, for 8 days, and they couldn't wait any longer. So they started to climb up to high places and look out to the far horizon, looking for any sign of him. Before he arrived in Yathrib, Rasulullah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, stayed in Quba for 4 days, and there he established the Mosque of Quba. Ali bin Abi Talib followed him there after he had completed a job for him. He returned the valuables people had earlier entrusted to the Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as they had known him for his honesty.
Do you know that the perfect plan that was arranged by Rasulullah to immigrate to Al-Medina could never have succeeded without the care of Allah the Almighty? The plan was exposed to risk 3 times. First, Allah saved him when a group of youths from Mecca surrounded his house in an attempt to murder him. Second, when Allah Ta'ala blinded the sight of Quraysh and they did not look inside the cave of Thawr, when Rasulullah and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, were hiding inside. Third, when Allah saved him after one of the polytheists was able to catch up with them on their way to Al-Medina.
Finally, the Holy Prophet, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, arrived in Yathrib with Abu Bakr, and the Ansar went out to meet him with great happiness. The people of Ansar crowded round the Prophet. Every time he passed by a house of an Ansar, they would ask him to come in and take the rein of his camel, but he would tell them, "Leave it, for it has already been ordered." The camel walked on until it got to the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, and there Rasulullah, may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, "Allah willing, this is the house." Then he recited Allah's words. I seek Allah's protection from the outcast Satan, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and say, "My Lord, cause me to land at a blessed landing place, for you are the best of those who provide sanctuary, and all that Allah has said is true." The hearts of believers were full of happiness after a long, patient wait, and the light shone everywhere in Yathrib. Rasulullah then renamed it Al-Medina. After that, the Muslims named it Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara, from where the greatest conquests of Islam were made. And this is why it is better than any other city in the world.
Habib